All right. Justin Zehr, we're back.
Mark, it's good to be back. 2025.
2025. So, what I was thinking is it's sort of cliche, but we can talk about goals.
Yeah.
Right? You get into the new year and everybody's setting goals. Everybody is just thinking fresh start.
Yeah.
January is much like Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a new fresh start. It's a new beginning, you could say. But not so much talking about personal goals, but just talking about like what are goals? What's a goal?
Yeah.
You know, what's the difference between a goal and a dream? What's just a fantasy? How do you set real goals? All that kind of stuff. So I guess like my first question would be, I guess in a more personal way, what would you say? How would you define a goal? How would you define when you think about setting a goal for yourself?
Yeah.
How would you define a goal?
Absolutely. So I think visually, when I think of goal, I think of kind of like a finish line. There's got to be a finish line or like an end point, an arrival point that kind of marks that you have arrived someplace, right? I think I think it's really difficult to have a goal with no end.
Yeah,
Does
so
that make sense?
a very specific end.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
so much I want to look better
Right.
or I want to have more money
Right.
or I want to be a better dad or I want to be
Right.
a better partner,
Yeah.
but to have something specific.
Yeah. Because like I think if you just have like an endless goal, right? It's really really hard to know if you succeeded
Mhm.
or if you failed,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
And then the problem with that is, I think personally, you said personal, so goals. I think if I'm going to be really honest, I think I live and die on goals. I think I live to have a goal. I live to strive. I'm constantly wanting to strive toward some sort of elevation in my life, right? And I'm wanting to progress. I want to move forward in life. I never want to feel like I'm just staying at the same place. I don't know if that goes for everybody, but I know personally, I like to know that I'm moving forward in life. And the problem with that is I don't think constant growth is necessarily natural,
Mm.
right?
That's
Like,
interesting. Not like our bodies.
right.
Like
Well, and even that.
as a child,
Yeah.
your body is naturally developing and
Yeah.
things are happening inside of you, which
Right.
isn't actually natural, but
Yeah.
you have to work for it. You're walking, your muscles are growing as you're moving. All that
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And then even with the body, like there will always be some sort of limit. You're going to come up against a limit eventually, right?
Yeah.
Because neither you nor I are perfect. So even if everything goes perfectly well and I am doing all the right things, I'm eating well, I'm showing up well, and I'm not drinking, I'm not doing drugs, I'm not abusing my health,
Sure.
getting the right sleep, drinking water. Even if all of those things go perfectly, there is going to be some sort of ceiling to my potential.
Yeah.
Whether I want to admit it
Sure.
or not.
Sure.
So this is the what I wanted to say is just that like because I'm always wanting to have a goal in mind or in front of me, if I run the risk of being depressed if I don't have some sort of end goal in mind,
Yeah.
or at the very least some sort of realistic expectation, right? If there is if I'm just setting an endless goal with no end in sight, I'm going to get discouraged if I feel like I'm not succeeding,
Sure.
right? So that's the thing about goals is like I think goals have a propensity to expand who we are and help us become something more than we currently are.
Sure.
And they also have this propensity to completely demoralize us, right?
For sure.
So it's like we set ourselves up when we set a goal, we're actually taking a risk. Right? It's saying I have to become something different.
Yes.
And in order to become, you have to leave. Right? And so that's risky.
Yeah, so I guess with that, could you say that another definition or a synonym for a goal, not really a synonym, but another definition for a goal is exceeding current limitations?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
So even we go back to exercise because it's such a simple way to flesh out a non-physical thought process, right? It's like, because you think right now my limitation is squatting 110 pounds.
Right.
I am incapable of squatting 110 pounds, like 115 pounds right now. Let's just say that's like that's my limitation. That's as far as I can go.
Right.
So the goal is I want to squat. Right now I max out at 110.
Right.
That's my limitation.
Right.
But I want my max to be 150 or 145 or 120. Anything above my limitation.
Yeah.
So being able to meet a goal is being able to exceed my current limitation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we could look at it in any aspect of life, right?
Yes.
Like right now, this is where I'm peaking out. Like I'm peaking out with financially, I'm peaking out I don't seem to be able to make more than $75,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like this is my limitation. This is my ceiling.
Yeah.
So my goal is 100.
Right.
Right. So, but that's past that's exceeding my limitation. Like I've peaked at 75.
Yeah.
So, like based on what you're saying, it seems like your goals eclipse your limit.
Yeah.
Your current limit. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and based upon what you're saying, it made me think how important the mind is when it comes to goals.
Yeah.
Right? Because our limits are perception based.
Right.
So sometimes we're actually capable of doing things, but in our mind we haven't accepted that we are. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that's why, and I don't want to go too far onto the side of this, but like that's why having good people in your corner or in your group is so important.
Oh well, yeah. No, like expand on that. Like
right.
why is it important to actually have a base of honest contributors into your life? That you've opened up the mode of communication so that they are free to be able to come at you with true, honest criticism. Yeah, and I love that word. How important? Honest. How important is that? It is crucial, and I love your usage of the word honest. Right. I mean, who hasn't seen like American Idol or X Factor where like the first couple rounds, right? They've been lied to their whole life. And there's someone that doesn't have a lick of skill or talent. They go on the show and they get, they're here auditioning for famous people. And it's awful because the show is set up to entertain. So like the show is loving it because they're going to sell that the worst people ever are showing up to do the show. And there's always one or two or many people that are like, what do you mean? I've got the best voice ever. But then as an audience, we're watching and we hear and we know. Yeah. You suck. You're not. They've been lying to you. You've been lied to. So honesty is key. I think John Maxwell has a book about dreams that I really liked a lot. And he talks about setting realistic goals and dreams. And I think honesty is important because you need people in your corner that will tell you the truth. We need people that can tell us you're capable of doing more. Which is hard. It's hard to receive and it's hard to give.
Yeah.
I don't know how many.
Oh my gosh.
I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've told somebody, you're capable of more.
Yeah.
Like that's a rare,
Dude.
that's a hard thing to say to someone.
Yeah,
you
and
love.
it's really hard as the receiver of those comments
Yeah.
when you are in a tough spot.
Yeah.
Like if you're depressed or sad or
Yeah.
I mean like last year, I was going through some stuff and
Mhm.
like we had a couple phone calls where you encouraged me to keep moving and to remember
Yeah.
who I am and
Yeah.
to rise to the occasion and so we need those friends. I think we all need those friends
Absolutely.
that help remind us of who we are and what we're capable of, and that's number one. But I think we also need people in our lives that are empowered to tell us no,
Mhm.
don't do this,
Yeah.
don't waste your time
Sure.
on this thing.
Yeah.
And in a way that comes from love, comes from just understanding how valuable we are.
Yeah.
Like if I came to you, Mark, and I was like, hey Mark, this is my new goal,
Yeah.
2025, I am going to be the center of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah. Now you're using me, like I can be used now as a filter.
Right.
Right? Where it's like, well, wait a second. Hold on. Let's go through the filter of your friend
Yeah.
to actually see what you're saying.
Right.
And to be able to come back to
like,
you.
where did this come from?
Yeah.
What makes you think that
Yeah.
becoming the center of the LA Lakers is your thing?
That's right.
Like, right?
Yeah. On that, like what's cool about that, if you look at your friends, and it's not necessarily using your friend as as anything. It's just when
Right.
you build a relationship, hopefully you've built a relationship where when you have ideas or struggles or pains or amazing things are happening, you have friends that you can go to with all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you've already built the back and forth.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm struggling, I go to you, you're struggling, you go to me.
Yeah.
But I think what's really cool is you come to me and you say, I want to be center for the Los Angeles Lakers, right?
Yeah.
As a friend, you're going through, like, it gets filtered through me, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm not doing it. I don't have any of the emotion attached to your desire.
Right.
None of it. It doesn't. It's completely. I'm completely just a bystander.
Right.
So what I can do then is I can be like, okay, well, wait a second. Like, let's bring this into reality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, instead of being the center for the Los Angeles Lakers,
Right.
what about joining like a CYO team?
Right.
Right? What about starting someplace that better fits
Right.
and is a more realistic goal?
Right.
Right? So instead of just being like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, what are you dumb?
Right.
Like, you're out of your mind. But it's like, but because you have this open communication with this person, now they can take your goal that you have and help you refine it and be able to create a more realistic goal that can be reached. Right?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Yeah, absolutely. It's like a sounding board.
Yeah.
Of like, and having a good friend, just like you were saying, is like at the very least it empowers you to be able to say like, well, hold on, like where can we realistically start from? And I think it's really important.
Yeah.
Because I think like good friends that have been welcomed into our circle, and hopefully the circle grows smaller as we get older, because that's really, people get weeded out as life
Sure. You have
goes
acquaintances, you have friends, you have close friends, you have brothers, like it all gets refined down into who you can talk to about what.
Right, exactly. And so but it's essential to like just have those people around us that are just like no, you don't need to do that, or hey, like where do we start?
Sure. And
how do we practically help this come into reality? Because there's the great scripture. We're always coming up with scripture when I'm
the Bible's
with
wild.
you.
The Bible's wild.
Romans 12:2, right? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of scripture actually about potential and about the mind and perception.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like goals need people, and we need our mind to get into alignment in order to become.
Yeah.
Right. It is, if that makes sense. Like,
For sure.
And my mind is limited because I'm only one fallen, broken person.
Yeah, and you're in the race.
Right.
Your friend is standing above it. He can see the start and the end.
Right.
Like he can see you outside of it.
Right.
You get tunnel vision.
Right.
Yeah.
And you made such a good point about emotions too.
Yeah.
Like emotional investment.
Sure.
And like if I come up with this dream, I don't know, who knows, maybe I ate some spicy pizza the night before or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just having a weird, I had a wild cup of coffee, who knows.
Sure.
And my mind, my heart gets into it, my emotions jump onto the goal, and I'm completely enraptured with this new goal.
Sure.
And whether it's realistic or not, my emotions are now tied to it.
Yeah. It's personal.
It's personal. It's so personal. And we need a third party, to be able to say, like, hey, let's take a step away from these emotions for a minute. Let's see if there's a way we can actually make this emotional, exciting thing into a real, like, rubber hitting the road dream, right? And I think that's huge.
Yeah, that's good shit. So, okay, so just kind of, so having a goal that is specific. Right? Specific goal, not this broad range of could-be's, but actually specifying detailed goal.
Yes.
Right? With a number to it or a age to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Where I have until this time to reach this goal. And the time frame, well, we're kind of moving into other things, but we'll get back into time frame. But let's just start with that, just specific, right?
Yes,
so we talked
specific.
About. Make your goals specific.
Yes.
And with that specific goal, there has to be humility.
Yes.
Where you can talk to a friend, you can share your goal, and you can actually receive from a brother or a sister or a mom or a partner the hard truth of the reality of that goal.
Yeah.
Right. And you haven't just surrounded yourself with people that stroke you.
Yep.
That say, nice, yeah, oh yeah, man, that's great, yeah,
Right.
go for it.
Right,
because we're all so. What's hard is we're all so consumed with our own goals. We're all so consumed with our own world, and we're the center of all of our own existence.
Yeah.
So to find someone, and well, I think it starts by being that someone, right? If you're that someone can come to you and be like, hey, this is what I was thinking.
Great.
I want to start a new business and blah, 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 blah. It's one thing to be like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, good.
Right.
And then the conversation's over, and it's like, that's going to be the majority of the conversations you have when you're entering into this new ambition. Most people are just they're going to be like, heck yeah.
Right.
And supporting you. Right. I don't know, like, that is supportive, that is supportive, but it's also extremely vague. And what else are they going to say?
Yeah.
Someone that doesn't really care is just going to be like, nice, cool.
Right.
That's awesome, man.
Like, just a yes
That's
person.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. And which is going to be the majority of the responses that you get with people that you share. One thing. So off of that. So get good people in your life that are going to be able to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. And make very specific goals.
One
thing that I've learned about goal setting, we're just going to be bouncing because there's so many stuff attached to the goal, is do your best to not tell anybody.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
That's such a good topic.
Do your best to just not tell anybody, even your closest, best, most personal friend that you can go and do anything, talk about anything with. I would say, in my opinion, hold on to that dream and that goal for as long as you can without telling anybody. And I think what we'll see is most of them over time will dissipate.
Yeah.
And it won't come to fruition.
Yeah.
Right? And by not telling anybody, there's just no, like, what happens is, I feel, especially like me, I talk. Something exciting's happening, I gotta tell somebody. Oh, this is what I'm thinking. Blah, 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 blah. And there's so much reward from that because what it does is it speeds up the extinguishing process, right? Like when you're sharing what you want to do. I want to start this new business where I'm doing this, and that, and you get it all out and you speak it out and you keep talking about it.
Yeah.
After like 48 hours, it's not exciting anymore.
Right.
You lose the excitement because you've been talking about it, and
Such
now
a
it's
good
just
point.
kind of like it's not new anymore.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, and then the friend comes to you and be like, "Hey, how's it going with your blah blah blah?"
Yep.
And you're like, nah.
Yep.
Then not coming through. And then what happens is you turn into this person that is just a talker.
Yeah.
You're just a talker.
Yep.
And you lose your integrity, you lose your there's just something that happens when you just talk about stuff that you want to do. Where I think if you just internalize it and journal it,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people think it's gay to keep a journal as a man. I think it's very important to just write stuff down. Use your phone and just type it in, you know, just who I want to be, you know, just goals or whatever you have, and just keep it in. Keep it locked in as long as you can. And then give it a week, you know, give it, you know, some time.
Yeah.
And allow all the emotions that are attached to that desire, that dream, that goal to just kind of fall away, because they will.
Yeah.
They always do.
Absolutely.
Stuff gets unexciting very quickly, especially if you're not talking about it.
Right.
And then once it's like it's been like a week and you've really been kind of plugging away at it, you've been chipping at it, you've been looking into it, you've been, you know, in behind closed doors, you've been working on it and building it and putting it, kind of fleshing it out. Then it's like, hey, I'm thinking about blah blah blah. And then it's like, wow, this kind of sounds like it's got feet to it. You know? So I think that's a really important thing that I've learned, is just shut up.
Yeah.
As important as it is to share with your friends and do all that, I still haven't even learned it yet. I still do it. I still, whenever anything exciting's happening, I just want to talk about it and be like, hey, blah, 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 blah.
Me too.
And it's like, dude, just stop.
Yeah.
Just keep it to yourself until it's like, it's hard. Right? Because it's still so soft and like, it's like,
fragile.
it's so fragile and soft and pliable and like very easily broken. For a little while into the goal making process, whatever you want to call it, the manufacturing of the goal. It's just so weak, you know. So it's like, I think it's important, and it's something that I'm learning. It's just
dude.
Just as important as to talk about it, keep it to yourself for as long as you possibly can.
And I'm curious. I've got that's such a good point. I'm curious. Where did that come from for you, that you started to realize this point about keeping a dream or a goal? Were you reading something?
Well, I think because like one of my, you know, they say like your best attributes are your worst attributes, right? Because I am a lot of my value throughout my life has been other people's value of me. So my self-worth has been really wrapped around how other people value me.
Yeah.
Right? Now, how other people, what's the way to word it? My value was wrapped up in other people's opinions of me. How did they view me? Like, what did they think of me? Right?
Yeah.
Pretty much for a while, all of it. Really, there was no self-worth.
Yeah.
You know, it was how does my partner find me attractive?
Sure.
Right? Does my friend respect me?
Yeah.
Everything, the gauge of how I was doing was based upon the people's around me opinion of me. Right? So by talking about things, it was just, well, they know better than I do. Right? Because really all that matters is what they think.
Yeah.
Really all that matters is how they feel about me. Do they think I can do it? You know, so I can just go to them with stuff. So I feel once you actually start to get out of that toxic behavior, that toxic mindset of really living for other people's opinion, then you start to realize that what really matters is, what do you think about yourself? You know, how do you view yourself?
Yes.
What do you look at when you look in the mirror?
Yep.
You know, what do you think when you look at your bank account? What do you think when you look at the job that you did? Right?
Yeah.
And which is for a guy like me, it's a lifelong thing. I don't think I'll ever be completely out of or fighting against wanting people to like me.
Yeah.
Right? It's just who I am. It's just for some reason my part, which also when you have that just wanting people to like you, it can be a real good thing.
Right.
Because now you can be talkative, you can be very confident.
Right.
You can be the life of the party. You can do big things. You can move, you can go, because you're not hindered by self-doubt, I guess. It kind of breaks that away for some reason. It just allows you to just, I don't know, I don't really know how to explain it, but being because it's not, I wouldn't say it's being a people pleaser.
Right.
Because I think being a people pleaser and wanting attention are two different things.
Yeah.
I think when you're a people pleaser, then you almost you're hindered by, I don't know. I haven't even figured it out yet. But
Yeah.
I know that it's different.
Yeah.
Because I can do things, and if like I don't really care, right?
Yeah.
You don't like me, too bad.
Right.
But in the same sense, I just want people to like me.
Yeah.
So it's this weird, I'm not sure if anybody can relate to that, but it's this weird mentality where I don't care how you feel about me,
Yeah.
but I really care how
Right.
you feel about me.
Right.
It's this nightmare of really not knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a big help is to just slow down, be quiet.
Yeah.
Keep to yourself a little bit when you have my type of mentality. Some
Yes.
people are very introspective.
Right.
And they need to get out. They
Right.
need to talk. They need to
Right.
speak, where
Right.
I'm the opposite, where I need to kind of get into my closet and just chill.
Protect it.
And just keep it
Yeah.
in, and just make sure that I'm okay with who I am, and
Yeah.
and just really dispel all the opinions of others. And
Yeah.
it's just this constant fight. So I would say, as I've gotten older, it's definitely been more focus more on who I know I am.
Right.
And then once you do that, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to share this
Yeah.
until I really know what I'm doing, because I don't really care what they think. I don't really care about their opinion. I'm just going to keep this locked in.
Mm.
And I also don't want to look like an idiot, and I've spent my whole life saying things that I'm going to do and don't do it.
Right.
Right. And it's like, nah, like let's just keep this to myself, which I'm still learning. I
Yeah.
still don't really do it enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if that makes much sense. That's
No,
kind of a ramble.
absolutely. I can totally, I totally relate to that paradox that exists of that internal back and forth of wanting to be liked,
Mm-hmm.
and yet also in the very same person, myself,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to just tell the world, forget
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I don't
give
care
a
what you
fuck.
think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be who I am.
Yeah. And what's
like it or
crazy
not.
is they're both in there.
Right.
It's
At the
just-
same time.
It's such a weird, like, one of my favorite songs is Eminem, Just Don't Give a Fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's coming from a man who only cares what people think.
Right.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
that was his entire up was to get the respect of other rappers and
Right.
to be this respected.
Yeah.
But it's like,
yeah.
but I thought you didn't give a fuck.
Right.
Right? And it's like, well, what do you mean?
Right.
Like, your whole life is giving a fuck about what people think of
Right.
you.
Yeah.
So it's like you can just see this weird paradigm where it's like you really care. I guess it's caring about certain people's opinion. I guess. Right? It's like you
That's a
want
good
this
point
person
right
to
there.
want
Yeah.
you. I remember growing up, I wanted attractive women to find me attractive.
Sure.
Right? So as soon as an attractive woman came into the room, it's like, okay.
Right.
But if she wasn't attractive, I don't really give a fuck.
Right.
It's like, I don't care. Like, I'll walk right by. I don't need
Sure.
to change anything about me. When an attractive woman shows up, it's like, oh, okay. Now I
Suddenly
care.
It's more important.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
like, well, whoa. Like, I thought you didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, you obviously give a fuck.
You
And
care.
it's like, when you're
Yeah.
honest with yourself, it's like, you're a liar. You're full of shit.
Yeah.
You really give a fuck.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Such a good point.
it's wild. It's a
yeah.
wild paradigm.
I think I relate to that. I definitely have that animal or that beast inside of me of that contradiction, right? And I think I always think of the quote, so simple, but wherever you go, there you are. It's very important to protect your vision of yourself as well. And that's why this concept that you shared, which is like to protect your dreams, not share them all the time. And in some cases, if you're the quieter type, you need to share a little
Sure.
bit more, right? I think it is essential to be able to um, have a good gauge of your self image in order to, or like self awareness, in order to be able to set and protect goals that matter, goals that actually have potential of becoming a reality.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, the most important thing, regardless of what goal you're working toward or how you're doing, I think the most important thing is for you to be able to believe in yourself and where you're going.
Yes.
And I think when you are oversharing your goal and you are in public with it, you open yourself up to attack.
Sure.
And I am a firm believer that we should be building in private most of the time.
100%.
Right? Another way to say it is this: if you stick your head above a crowd, rocks are going to get thrown, right? If you never say anything and you shut up all the time, you're never putting your chips on the table, you know, you're not going to win either, right? But the moment you are the person that stands up and says something, you are now at risk,
Sure.
right? So there's a plus and a minus. There's just like a...
Yeah, it's that yin and yang. It's
yin
that
and yang,
balance. Yeah.
right? So when you build in secret or in private, you have an opportunity to allow what you're building to get to a place where it is safe, where it is stable, where a foundation has been built.
Yes.
It's kind of like if you have a seedling, like a little plant, and it is just a tiny little seedling, and you just walked out into the yard and threw it on your lawn, right? Yeah. This thing is more than likely not going to make it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, it's on fallow ground.
It's on fallow ground. There's no roots.
Yeah.
There's no foundation, right? But if you have that seedling and you're growing it in your house for a period of time in a pot and good soil, and then you take it out of one pot and you put it into a bigger pot so it can get deeper roots and it starts to grow bigger, and maybe even other branches pop off of this seedling. By the time you can take it out into your yard and put it in the ground, it has a foundation, it has some roots, it's strong enough now where it has an opportunity to grow into reality.
Yeah.
So I think that's the benefit of protecting your dream, right? Protecting your goal and not speaking to everybody about it.
Yeah.
And the last thing you said before some of our technical difficulties is like qualify who you share with, right?
Yeah. Don't cast your pearl before swine.
That's right. So it's like qualify your audience. Who actually has investment in you, right? Not everyone should have a seat at the table, right? Like I'm sitting at the table talking with you, doing this podcast today, and it's awesome, right? But like you didn't just like put something out on Facebook like anybody come over to the house today. I'm going to record a podcast, right? Like there's relationship.
Yeah.
There's a reason we're talking, right? We've known each other for a while and we've become friends, and we qualify the people that get the opportunity to speak into us, right?
Exactly.
You shouldn't give the same weight to everybody's voice.
Right.
You're married, so you have a wife, right? So when she speaks up and says something about a dream or a goal you have, it should mean more than if I were to, right? Because that's your wife, right? If your parents, and this one's tricky because sometimes the people that are closest to you are the ones you have to protect your dreams and goals from the most.
Absolutely.
Right? A prophet is known as a prophet in anywhere but his own hometown, right? So like you gotta qualify who you share your dreams and goals with so that your dreams and goals don't get squashed. A hope deferred makes the heart sick, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So we have make specific goals, right? Set goals that are very specific.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with honest, loving people.
Yes.
And those are the people that you share your goals with after a period of time when you've shared them with nobody.
Yep.
Right? Give yourself the opportunity and the time to let the goal die
That's
before
good.
you share it with somebody else.
Yeah.
Right?
That's really good. Yeah.
And then you know that, all right, this is real.
Yeah.
You know, I've let this sit. Let this sit for a little bit. And,
Right.
and what's really hard, like everything, some people say it's, again, I think personalities, again, with my type of personality, I just go.
Yeah.
I have an idea, I do it, I go, right? And a lot of them fall.
Yeah.
They just fall. Like, it just doesn't work out. I want to do real estate. I got 3/4 of the way through the real estate license thing. And I was like, I don't like this. I'm done. I told like 10 people I was doing it.
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, now you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Now you're like a fucking asshole.
Right.
Right? It's like, why'd you tell anybody?
Right.
Just do it.
Right.
Right? Just do it. And then
Right.
when it's done, be
That's
like, hey,
good.
I got my real estate license.
Yeah.
But no. It's like, hey, I think I'm going to do real estate. I'm taking the blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'm doing blah, blah, blah. And it's like it's like this, a great part of your personality can be you're very talkative. You can express things to people. You make yourself vulnerable to people. And
Right.
then they feel they can be vulnerable with you.
Right.
So if you're sharing stuff about your life that could fail and not be okay, now all of a sudden they feel comfortable. Well, he told me about that. Well, actually, something I've been thinking about, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So it's with these gifts of being able to be a person that can be vulnerable and can be open and can
Yeah.
be real with people comes the curse of being vulnerable and being real with people.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, just keep it to yourself for a little bit. Make them specific. Only share them with people that you've proven,
Yeah.
you've tested. You
Yeah.
know that, all right, this person I can trust. They're going to be honest with me.
Yeah.
And wait to share those things.
Yes.
Like keep them under your hat. So practically, so we're talking about that. What about? All right, we can get into it. What about this? So we're at what, January 19th right now.
Yep.
So I would say there is a huge number of people that have already failed on their
Yeah.
New Year's resolution.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Right? I mean, it's been almost 3 weeks.
Yep.
And I think there's this thing where a habit takes 21 days to form or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
If you can do something for 21 days straight,
Yep.
you're kind of over the hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
So to anybody that is on day 19 right now, like keep on it, because like a couple more
Right.
days and then it's gonna start to feel a little bit good, right?
Right.
Especially people going to the gym. Usually the first 3 weeks is hell.
Yeah.
Right. So what can we do? What do you think is a healthy? So this goes along with setting specific goals. What about like a time frame, right? What type of is that? Does that make sense? Is that a good idea? Do you think you should put time frames on goals? Now, if you don't meet that time frame, are you just setting yourself up for disaster and failure? Right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? What do you think about, again, this is more practical,
Yeah.
but setting an actual time to meet this goal?
Yeah.
What do you think about all that?
Well, yeah, it's a great point. You know, I'm in a band, and you know, I've got a bandmate that's a really good friend of mine that is also a very talented musician, and when we started as a band, it seemed like we were just getting together and goofing off. You know, it just seemed like the sense of urgency wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
Seemed like we weren't getting anywhere. And so he, being a good friend and bandmate and challenger, said, you know, like, hey, let's put an event on the calendar.
Oh, yeah. Now you got a time frame.
Right.
You
gotta show up
by here.
And if you're, it's like, and to make things more challenging, we're gonna tell people about it.
Yeah, that's Yeah.
So it's
That'll
like
do
the
it.
flip side
Yeah.
of what we were
Now
just
you
talking
have
about.
to, or
Yeah,
you're freaking
because you're gonna look like a
with your dick in
goofball.
your hand. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so um, I think sometimes it is a good thing to
Yeah.
have a date, a deadline,
An announcement.
an announcement where you're really putting your chips on the table. It puts the pressure on,
Yeah.
especially if you're similar to you and I, where we want to be liked and accepted, and that type of value is a deeper anchoring
Yeah.
need to want to do well,
Yes.
right? This want to do well. So I think deadlines can be very effective to put the pressure on, to break a seal on taking a step of action. Um,
What's, what's another? Sorry to interrupt you, but on that.
Yeah.
So, time is a pressure.
Yep.
Telling people is
Yes.
a pressure. What do you think are other pressures that we can put on ourselves to meet our goals
Right.
besides time and announcing? What do you think is another, like, if you can think of anything? What's another way to actually put that pressure on?
Right. I think there is necessary and unnecessary pressure that we apply to this timeline thing, right? I think setting a deadline for ourselves with a risk reward is really a helpful tool that one could apply, right? Like reward yourself, like celebrate.
Sure.
And it doesn't have to be something huge. Like you could literally make it, if I do this deadline, I make this deadline, I go perform, I'm gonna buy myself a pizza.
Sure.
I'm gonna go to the movies.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy myself tickets to a.
And then you would, do you think like, so, okay, that's cool. Like actually put like a reward at the end of the situation.
Right.
Right. So it's like, if like, so again, it's almost like you're giving yourself an ultimatum.
Right.
So then what I would say is like, so if you say your goal, I think a good thing with, again, we always go back to getting fit, but it's like, it's just such an easy, it's such an easy thing to flesh out, because you could say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. And you know you're whatever weight, and you know that that's a realistic goal. Right. It's not like you're 140 and you say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Like, that's my goal. That's what I'm setting. And so that's a realistic, specific goal.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 3 months. Right. So, and then it's like, okay, so now you have a realistic time frame. Right, because that's very realistic. Like typically anything over 10 pounds a week is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it's just not real. You know.
Yeah.
So you're giving yourself 2.5 months, 3 months, whatever it is, so that you're losing 8 pounds a week, whatever that adds up to. I don't feel like doing the math. I know that I can lose realistically 8 pounds a week, and that brings me to this point. Here's my realistic goal. Here's my time frame. Here's all the stuff. And so, and once I do, this is what's waiting for me.
Right.
Then what it causes is I'm not doing that reward until this goal is reached.
Right.
Right? So say you freaking love pasta.
Right.
Right? And you love this specific restaurant or whatever. And it's like, I'm not going there and I'm not touching pasta until this goal is reached, whether it's that time frame or even if I beat the time frame.
Right.
And then it's like, now you have this like driving force. It seems menial, but I think it's like, it could be anything. These are just examples, right? Where it's like, I want this thing. I want to be fit, but that's very difficult. I've never lost that much weight. You know, I've never done that. So let's put a reward that you're working towards that goes hand in hand with the actual goal, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Like that's such a good, because it's that push. Now while you're pushing, like you can't even imagine being 50 pounds lighter,
right?
Because you've never been there.
Right.
But you know what that favorite restaurant is.
Right.
You can't wait to eat pasta again.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now you have another driving force. So it seems like another way to set realistic goals is to actually put like markers and rewards at the end of them, that you know what they are.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you say I want to make $100,000, you've never made $100,000 a year.
Right.
You don't even know what that looks like.
Right.
You don't even know what you're gonna feel once you've made $100,000.
Right.
Because what's really gonna happen is now that you've reached 100, now it's a new goal.
Right.
I want 120, right? So it's like, it's I've heard someone say once, it's not fun having money, it's fun making money, right? So once you get it, it's like, or success or fame, right? Once you have it, it's like, okay, this is what all of this work was for.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I've been working my ass off for this.
Right.
Like, this is it. Like,
Right.
okay. Like, yeah, this is cool. But now it's like, well, I want more. And then you just set another goal. Then you set another goal. So it's like attaching things to your goal to help you, to help drive you to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other benefit to this is like, it's like, make a plan, set a goal, let it go. Right? Like, don't hold on like, it's weird, but you gotta, like, we'll make these big, huge goals, right? Like, let's say the goal is you want to be president or something like that, right? That's, like, such a big goal.
Yeah.
And if you make your whole identity be based on whether you achieve this goal that you might never achieve, like, you run the risk of...
all your eggs are in one basket.
Yeah. And
that's a tough one.
That's a tough one, right? So I think there is this thing where we have to, like, you know, man makes his plan, but God determines his steps, right? That's another good proverb. It's like we can make the plan, we get the dream, we get the goal in line and out there, and we start working toward it. But if we just stranglehold the thing where we're like, I am nothing until this comes to be, then I don't think that that's healthy, right? I think that could be like a toxic, you know, mentality. So I think what I'm learning is to allow myself to take a deep breath and let go of the overwhelming pressure to constantly achieve a specific goal. And I think that is a very difficult balance to find.
Yeah, it's tough, especially with different personalities, because what can happen is, like, someone like me, I become very obsessive.
Yeah.
Like, I get, like, very obsessive.
Right.
Like, that's it. Like, and it's such a I used to think it was immaturity, I used to think it was, like, childish, but I've come to understand that it's like, no, you just get obsessed.
Yeah.
Right? That's a very good thing.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, it's good. But what happens is you get so obsessed with this thing, whatever the thing is, you can just get obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And it's either on or off.
Right.
Right? It's either completely obsessed or you're done.
Yeah.
There's no, and what you're saying is there's this pressure that you can put on yourself when you have that sort of, like, obsessive mentality. And the bad thing about it is once it's not obsessive, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't even exist anymore. There is no keeping it going.
Right.
Right. There is no just balance. It's just it's just everything. It's like, that's
everything
it.
or nothing.
Like, I want to do this podcast. All right, well, I'm gonna do 3 a week. You know, and then this and this, and then it's like, all right, well, I have 2 today. Okay, well, I'm already setting up for Monday. Okay,
right.
we need one Monday. Okay, well, all right, we got one Monday. Now we need to get an editor. Oh, well, we got one Wednesday. Okay, we didn't get one Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like going crazy. And then come Sunday, it's like, screw it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And like, there's no balance in it. It's either 100 or 0.
Right.
So I think what you're saying is set the goal, set the realistic goal, but also let it go.
Yeah.
Like, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. But there is so many other aspects of your life that still need care.
Right.
That still need time.
Right.
That still need it. And just because you're giving those other areas their due attention, it doesn't mean that you've left your goal.
Right.
You're still moving. Right?
Yeah.
You're still moving in that direction. You're on that path.
Right. Because you're a human being, not a human doing.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good shit.
You're a human being.
Yeah, that's
you
good
still
shit.
have to be. You still have to live. You still exist, right? And I think we run the risk of looking at other people, especially in social media culture, where we're looking at other people's lives that a lot of the time are orchestrated and everyone's sharing their highlight
Fake.
reel and it's fake. And we're sitting at home on a Friday or Saturday night feeling lonely or sad. Like, why does everybody else have a full life and I'm sitting at home looking at TikTok that no longer exists, right? And it's like no, like a lot of people are at home on a Saturday or a Friday
majority.
night. A majority are at home wearing pajamas
Yeah,
with
the 1% is in the club,
right.
you know?
So it's like, dude, like you're you get this mentality of like feeling left behind when you get into that place, but you should never feel like you are any less than or less human or less regular, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like you're still a human being. You still exist, and you're still important. So I think that's another thing. It's just like so important. And I think yeah, I think just allow
Yeah.
yourself to have a little bit of space for some grace.
Yeah,
And,
I think it's like it's so hard because you get fed up,
yeah.
right? I think we get it's. I've heard what is the saying that nothing will change until the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain it's going to take to change.
Yeah.
Right? Where you just can't be you, whatever this part of you is
Yeah.
any longer.
Yeah.
To where that hurts more than the work it's going to be.
Yeah.
You can look at it with drug addiction.
Yep.
You know, nobody can stop an addict.
Right.
Nobody can but the addict.
Right.
Like, I'm the only person. Nobody can do anything for you. Nobody can. It's until you get to that point where you can't take it anymore.
Right.
Right. And it's like, again, like addicts and obsessive people, it's our superpower.
Right.
Right. It really is, because you can just do things that other people can't do. You
Right.
have this drive, this like passion, which is so amazing to have, but you get so discouraged so easily.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're this wind up toy.
Yeah.
And as soon as that thing stops being wound, as soon as it stops, you're just nothing. Right? But but if it's wound up, you're going. You're
Right.
going hard, you're
Right.
killing it, you're going crazy. But then
Yeah.
as soon as that runs out, you're just there. And you're disgusted with yourself, and you think you're worthless, and you
Yeah.
failed again, and you're just some fucking addict, or you're just this child that gets really excited for things for a moment, and then once the excitement's gone, you don't care anymore, and it's like you just keep doing this throughout your life. And this is all me.
Yeah.
Me speaking 100%.
Yeah,
This is me.
yeah.
Like, I'm an addict that gets obsessed.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I've always had to replace my addictions with other addictions.
Right.
It's the only way.
Right.
Like I haven't learned how to just not be addicted. It's like the addiction needs to be with something else.
Yeah.
Right. And if I have an unhealthy addiction, it was drugs and sex. Right. So it's like, okay, that isn't a good addiction. That's hurting me. That's harming me. So
Yeah.
now I need to replace that addiction. Right?
Yeah.
That's the only way that I'm going to be able to cope with life, is to replace my addiction. I don't know if that's healthy. I don't know if that's the right answer to the situation. I'm sure if I did some meditation and maybe took some DMT or did some ayahuasca or something,
Yeah,
if there was
yeah.
a way to just not be an addict. But it's also a part of me that I love about myself. So I also don't know if I would not want to be an addict. I love that I get obsessed with things. I love that when I have a goal, it's like it consumes me.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I love that about myself, because then those people love really hard.
Yeah.
And they fight hard, and it's like there's this grit about them where they'll just do hard things, and it's like you can work through it. The downfall, and this is what I'll get into next, is the failure. Right? Is where you have all these goals and this desire, and it just doesn't happen, or you fail. Right? You don't meet the deadline. You know, you don't lose the weight. You know, you don't stop smoking. You know, you don't whatever it is, and then when you have this fucking addictive, obsessive personality and you fail, your failure is overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, you're just fuck everything. Fuck everything. I don't give a shit about anything now. Like, I'm a failure. Like, I didn't do it. I didn't reach my goal. I didn't make it happen. Fuck everything. right? So what do we do when we don't meet our goal? Like, what do we like? What how do we? What's the step? So we reach the deadline of our very realistic, specific goal, and we don't meet it, and we fail.
Yeah.
So now that just happened. Now what?
Okay. Well, I think I love. I really enjoy Gary Vee. Right. And he talks a lot about failing and fail quickly. There's a lot of pretty famous people that talk about that, but I think Gary Vee's a big one.
Sure.
But I think one of the things that he kind of, and I'm gonna try to encapsulate it in my own language.
Sure.
But
You
like,
just gotta say fuck like 17 times.
yeah, I gotta say,
and then that's
fuck
Gary
a lot.
Vee.
And yeah, honestly, I think the first thing you immediately need to tell yourself when you fail is what I failed at may not have been for me.
That there's a reason you failed, and it's not necessarily your own weakness, but that wasn't for you.
Right. And now this can even go to like being at a bar and trying to talk to a cute person, or
Sure.
it could be just hearing a no. It can be
Rejection.
not getting a job, rejection. It could be dealing with familial rejection. The deep wounds
Sure.
can come from this.
Sure.
Like one of the biggest things I've had to grapple with in my life, so far in my short life, is realizing that it was not my fault that my father didn't want to be around. Right? And I think I spent a lot of the beginning part of my life really angry, sad, and bitter, thinking that I did something to cause my father to not want to be a part of my life. When in retrospect, first of all, just because my father wasn't around doesn't mean that he didn't want to be around, number one.
Sure.
Number two, just because he's not around doesn't mean I did something that made him not want to be around.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He wasn't around, and it's not my fault. It had nothing to do with me. He is a separate human being trying to exist and make his own conscious decisions. And so like it's just if you find yourself in a place of failure, to bring it full circle, is like just come back around and realize like maybe you failed because you weren't even supposed to be trying to go for that thing. And I think procrastination is a beautiful place for us to discover this. Like sometimes you're not getting something done and you're procrastinating because you're not even supposed to be doing it. Right?
That's interesting.
You could spend your whole life saying, I am supposed to do X, Y, Z, but for some reason you can never get around to getting it done. And eventually, at some point, I think you have to be honest with yourself and say, why can I never get this done? Why am I always procrastinating? Why am I always coming up with reasons not to study? Why am I always coming up with reasons not to follow through?
Yeah.
And sometimes it is simply because it's not meant for you.
Yeah.
Like you got the no because there's a yes someplace.
Yeah.
And you're knocking on the door to no.
Yeah.
When there's another door that says yes on it and you just haven't seen it yet. And so sometimes you just have to persevere until you see possibility, and that's hard because that takes faith, because you have a person or an expectation you've placed your meaning on, and you're expecting that thing to come true. There's a name, there's a person, there's someone you want to be with, right? And you can't be with them, and it's devastating because you are convinced with all of your heart and all of your might that this is the person, this is the thing that you need in order to survive, when in reality you just haven't been around long enough to see who the right person is. Yeah. You haven't been around long enough to discover what it was you were supposed to be doing. If like I talk to a lot of young people that are really hard on themselves because they don't know what they want to do with their life.
Sure.
And
None of them.
not right. And
It's just thoughts.
yeah, but here's the thing. A lot of the time they haven't even been around long enough.
How are you supposed to know?
And then who determines when the right time is for you to discover what it is you should be doing? And I'm going to tell you that, like, if you opened your eyes today could be the day you find out, but it also could be, it could be 60 years, 70 years from now.
And it's ever changing.
Right. And so that's the flip side to all of this is just like, if you fail, you just have to realize it might not have been meant for you. And or you may have been wrong in some of the, you may have just out of ignorance or lack of knowledge, maybe you put parameters on your goal that are weren't realistic, but you didn't know. Mm-hmm. And how would you know? Have you done it before?
Exactly.
If you haven't done it before, of course you don't know.
You don't even know what it looks like.
Right.
You don't even know what the you that has reached that goal looks like.
Right.
You don't know who that person is.
Yeah. And that's why, just grace is so important. So even like, not even the deep spiritual grace necessarily, but like self-grace and giving yourself the space to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And being willing to look in the mirror and say, you've done better.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember being young, and I had a friend of mine that was very stoic. Mm-hmm. Like, he was very quiet. He was everything I wanted to be. Mm-hmm. All the attributes. He was attractive. Mm-hmm. Like, girls just wanted him. People wanted to be around him. He was cool. He was quiet. He was smooth. And I was just this fucking dork. Mm-hmm. Like, I was just wild and loud and scrawny and just wild. Yeah. And I remember just trying so hard to just be this stoic, quiet, like hard. Like, that was the obsession, right? Because if I want to be something, it's like you're fucking obsessed with it, right? So I just remember like just laying on the floor and like meditating and just staying quiet and like walking into situations very cognizant and self-aware and being like, I'm not going to speak, I'm just going to be quiet. I'll chuckle a little bit, but I'm not going to laugh out loud. I'm going to kind of sit in the back, like do everything in my power to be this person, just to find out that fuck that person, that's not me. Like, that's not who I am. I'm loud or whatever. I'm this person. And it's like, be okay with that person, right? Like, that's not who you're supposed to be. He's him. And there's one him and there's one you.
Right.
So you're spending all your time to be another him. And what about the you that's supposed to affect everybody? The you that's supposed to make all these changes? The you that is touching all these lives? The you that is reaching and beating and doing? It's like, just be you. Yeah. Right? And I think a lot of us don't like the you. We don't like us. We don't like ourselves, right? We're just not really into who we are. Yeah. Because we've been honest with ourselves, and we look in the mirror, we don't like what we see. Right. We see how we talk with friends. We don't like. There's just so much about ourselves that we don't like. Right. And I think once you started down this road of self, like, it's so hard because self-help, right, and all that stuff. It just sounds so gay, but it's like, once you've started down the road of self-growth, right? Once you've started down the road of like just wanting to be a great human being, wanting to be the absolute best human being that you possibly can be inside and out, right? Yeah. Not only fit and strong and just all the bodily aspects of it, as attractive as you can be, taking care of your skin, taking care of your body, taking care of what you put in your body, right? Being healthy, all that stuff, the best you can be, but also being loving and kind and humble and generous and a great friend and a great father, a great husband, a great wife. And once you've started this journey, you start to it's really scary because you see all this shit that you hate about yourself because you're just constantly like nitpicking yourself. You're trying to change this. Oh, I don't like that about myself. I don't like that. There was this really good looking girl and I was too nervous to go talk to her. Oh, you're so, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you such a coward? Like, what is wrong with you? So now just that one aspect of confidence, now you're reading books and you're watching podcasts and you got Andrew Tate in your ears. You know what I mean? And it's like, you're just like just so I can talk to that girl, right? Or whatever the thing is, like what I'm so skinny, whatever the thing is, and you all of a sudden become so hard on yourself, where really you only see the negative. You're only seeing all the negatives about you, so it's just constant fight to just be like. What if you're not supposed to be like that? Like, what if you're not the guy that just approaches the girl and like is all like suave and cool and like that? What if that's not like who you are?
Right.
What if like no, that's not for you? You know what I mean? Like no,
so
you're
good.
the guy that's at a library and is reading and is just doing your thing and is devoted to whatever it is you're doing. And a beautiful woman sees that and she makes the move, right? Does that make you weak? No, that makes you focused, right? So it's like it's just. I think like what you're saying is so huge because it's like maybe that's not for you, right? Maybe that isn't who you're supposed to be. Maybe that type of human being is that type of human being and you're the complete opposite, right? So it's just being like another gift is being able to like what do they say, your personality is like fully formed by the time you're like 4 or something like that. Like you're you, and like there might be things about yourself that you don't like, but those things that you don't like may be the fucking best things about you. They may be like amazing, but it's just you're just spending all your time to be something that you're not. Yeah. And like that's just so huge. It's like I remember being okay with myself. Yeah. And I'm still to a degree. I just remember a moment of being more okay with myself. Yeah. Because again, being obsessive, being an addict, like you're just constantly just I fucking suck. Yeah. You lay in bed and you just think how you failed everything, you failed everybody, and it's like this being hard on yourself deal, which we can talk about that next. But just being hard on yourself is so important. But then in the same sense, it's like, dude, chill. Yeah. So I really like that. Is okay when you fail, so you've set realistic goals that have parameters and deadlines, and you've shared them with the appropriate channels over the appropriate amount of time, and even when you fail in those endeavors that you've set for yourself, be sure that be sure that the goals you're setting are actually for you. Right? It's a goal that maybe you weren't supposed to set that goal. Yeah. Right? So then it brings you back to being self-aware. Yeah. Right? Know yourself enough that the goals you're setting are actually goals that you're supposed to be meeting. Yeah. And I think, and this will be a word about this too, that hopefully this will encourage someone too, is I think a lot of people really killed their own dreams or goals based upon looking at the circumstances of who they are and what has happened to them. And so they disqualify themselves from who they can become by thinking that they're not the right one. Sure. And so sometimes in life, the things that went wrong, the failures, the closed doors, actually position us perfectly for the success. For sure. And the reason I'm thinking of this is there's a new movie, Mufasa, that came out, kids movie. I went like the Lion King spin-off, right? Yeah. It's like a prequel. And basically Mufasa's character, hopefully this doesn't ruin the movie. Oh, spoiler alert. Spoiler
Fast
alert.
If you're an adult planning to go watch Mufasa, I might ruin it.
Spoiler alert. We warned you. Go ahead.
Mufasa has become an outsider and finds himself accepted into a new clan of lions. But because he's not the son of this other lion, he basically is told that he's got to hang out with the lionesses, right? Yeah. And as a result, he is trained in the ways of the lioness, right? Yep. And as a result has learned to be different from the other lions. which has positioned him perfectly
To be a good leader.
to be a good leader.
Yeah.
So sometimes the preparation or the circumstances that hurt the most, that become the closed doors, that have turned into a thing that are like, oh, this means I can't do it. Sometimes those are the things that will bring out the very character and nature of who you needed to be positioned for this time.
Yeah, that's
so
good
if
shit.
you've heard a no, be encouraged. Maybe your no has elevated you into a position of being ready to step into what was your actual calling, your actual purpose, and maybe those things don't like disqualify the dream or the goal. Just know that like it circles back around to that identity piece of just knowing that like being you is a superpower nobody else has, and be you because everybody else is already taken, right? Just be you, right? So stop thinking stop getting up in your head, beating yourself up, trying to be something that you are not, because you are exactly who you needed to be today. And whether you like it or not, you are that. So you have the hand, you have the cards in your hand that you have now, whether you like it or not. So play that hand, right? Just play the hand you got. Because if you can figure out how to play the hand you got, that's going to determine whether you win or not in the first place.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. So like kind of to put it like a whatever is the goals. Make sure the goals that you're setting are aligned with who you are.
Right.
Right. Not somebody else. And make sure that it's the goals are already. They're already the same color as you.
Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
They're already.
Yeah.
They're already, it's odd. Like you have enough self-awareness to know that this goal that you're setting isn't trying to change the you,
Right.
but it actually is to enhance the you.
Right.
You're not trying to become a different.
Right.
And these goals aren't just means to get to that end,
Right.
but these goals are only just enhancing who you already are.
Right.
Right. Is
Right.
that kind of
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. Another way to say it is this: is like things that resonate with you only resonate with you because they came out of you.
Yes. Yeah.
So if there's ever a lack of peace, it's usually because you are trying to bring something into yourself that was never in you in the first place.
Yes. And I guess like with people like us that are so driven to just be better, we surround ourselves with voices.
Yeah.
Right? You got the Joe Rogans, the Chris Williamsons,
Right.
the Theo Bonds, the
All
Shane
of them.
Gillises, the
Yep.
whoever, Andrew Tates, whoever it is that's speaking, we just have all these voices.
Right.
And those people, I think we've talked about this before, those people are so incredible, not to say any of them are incredible, but they're so impactful,
Right.
let's say, right?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
Hitler was impactful.
Yes.
Stalin,
Yeah.
there's negative impacts as
Right.
well.
Right.
But these people were so impactful because they were them.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to be somebody else.
Right.
And I think those are the people that just stick out.
Yeah.
Where there isn't another Theo Von, right? Like there's something about him that's like, dude, you just can't see another one. And so it's like, well, I want to be like him. It's like, well, no.
No, just be
Be you.
Yeah.
And then someone will be like, man, there's just not another Justin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like the only, like, there's something about him, right?
Right.
There's another Mark, right?
Right,
And like,
right.
that's if you want to be someone that's impacting others, right? Then that's what we need to be, is us.
Right.
And only us.
Yeah.
Constantly us. And allow, like, the people that are speaking into our lives, we have to run it through the lens of us, right? Like, like whatever us is, what if you're like, it's funny, like I don't even know how else to word it. I don't know how to word it better per se, but make sure that the things we're applying to ourselves that we receive from others isn't changing us,
Right.
but is enhancing us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that some of the coolest people are so special and so cool because when they are able to walk in the freedom of knowing who they are, and they are unapologetically themselves, they give permission to everybody else around them to be themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a powerful person. That's the person that when he walks into a room draws heads. And they don't have to be perfect. It's just that they are walking in a sense of identity and self-acceptance, self-awareness, that they're encouraging other people, even without saying it, that they can be themselves as well.
Yeah, they're letting off an aura of just grace.
Right.
Yeah.
And that to me, dude, like I feel like I'm a human and you're a human, so you could probably relate that. Just it's really easy to look around at everybody else and play the comparison game. It's really easy to look at other people and you really like or you admire something in someone else,
Yeah, and
and you want it, and that's realistic. That's just practical. That's being human, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just being realistic. But there is something when we get to a place of saying to ourselves, you know what, I'm gonna like you, even with all of your flaws, because if someone needs to be loyal to you, and this is talking to yourself, right? You're looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like if I can't love me, who else, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's true.
And that doesn't mean that I think I'm hot stuff and or better than anyone.
You just love yourself.
It's just, and that's why
Care about yourself.
That's why self-love is actually, it can be a topic in today's day and age that is cotton candy, right? It is a fluffy conversation.
Like we need to love ourselves more, right?
Right.
It's like, well, you kind of do.
You kind of do, because here, I think this is why. I think if the better you are able to practice self-love, the better you will learn how to give yourself away for other people.
Sure.
The better you will learn how to pour yourself out as an offering. By understanding better who you are and the tool that your body, yourself, your identity are, the better you're going to know how to give it away.
Yeah, it's true.
And so true self-love is selfless, because true self-love comes from a place of how do I best take care of me for me so you can take care of you for you, which is a very Jim Rohn talked a lot about that, and just this idea of like, if you take care of yourself, however that looks, so that you are able to just give it yourself away, right?
Yeah.
And so self-love, very important, so long as it stays centered in a place of mission or a place of selflessness. How do I give myself away?
Yeah, and it's like, what I like is self-like.
Self-likes, yeah.
Right?
Ooh, that's a good, interesting.
Because I feel like that's why I struggle with the self-love. Like even like Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. Right? Because he knew that you love yourself more than anybody.
Yeah.
You're number one, like you love yourself. But I get what you're saying 100% about like true loving yourself. True loving yourself is not a selfish love. But like to actually be able to like yourself.
Well, and that's such a good point too, because you can love somebody and not like them.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Some people, you can love a family member, but then you have to sit down for Thanksgiving dinner and
you don't like them at all.
Yeah, you're like gritting your teeth and like, I cannot wait to get away. And but the other thing is like most people, the self-love issue or like this love thy neighbor mentality is most people don't even know how to love themselves.
Exactly.
At all.
For sure.
And so as a result, that no wonder they disrespect other people.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to respect themselves.
They're treating themselves like shit.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, like how are they going to treat their neighbor like they should treat themselves if they go home and pour all sorts of really bad stuff into their body? They don't ever get proper nutrition. They don't go to the gym. Their mind doesn't get proper nutrition.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you're disrespecting yourself
Yeah.
for so long, and then you expect to be able to walk out your front door and treat other people well.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, dude, like it don't happen like that.
Mhm.
Like I think the only way we learn how to treat other people better is if we can appreciate, and I think appreciate might be a solid word for this, is just like to appreciate ourselves with action, right? When we do that, then it's like, okay, if I can learn how to treat other people better as well. And so, yeah, anyways, I think that's important when it comes to these goals. I think when it comes to setting goals, when it comes to how we see ourselves in the face of a goal, right? I think if you put a goal in front of your face and you fail or you succeed, and if you base your entire identity off of the answer to that, that's a real interesting place to be. It's a dangerous place to be. But if you can somehow continue to hold things a little bit lighter and continue to realize that you are a human being, and that you have space for failure, then I think that you can retain some of who you are, your essence. And at the end of the day, we all die.
Yeah.
We're all gonna die and go away.
It's so hard because it's like, it's such a paradox, because it's like, if you think about the person that you like the most,
Yeah.
right? I think we all like one person or two people, or there's probably someone in our life that we like the most.
Yeah.
And I think that person changes over time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you
Absolutely.
think about growing up, friends, and
Absolutely.
you like this person the most, you like that person the most. And it's like, if we wonder why do I like them so much? Right? Why do I like them so much? And if it's because of the things that they do for you, I'd kind of be hard pressed to think, I don't know if you really like them as much as you think you do.
Right.
Right? If you're really honest with yourself. Right? And when I think about the people that I like the most, it's because of who they are. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And how they treat me and how they love me and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't, like, that helps in the, it's not it doesn't make me like that person more, right? It doesn't make me, like them more or hold them at a higher esteem, the things they do for me, right? Yeah. So it's like, what really sucks, what we do to ourselves is we seem to only like ourselves the more we can do. Yeah. Right? But we would never treat a friend like that. Right. We would never be like, I like you because all the things you do for me. Right? Just like, then why do we do that to ourselves? Like, I like me because I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done that. It's like, that's why I like me. And it's like, whoa, dude, like, you wouldn't do that to your friend. Right. Right? You like that person because of just who they are. Right? Not what they're doing. And it's like, I think that's very, very, very difficult, at least for myself. I can speak just for myself, to just like me because of, like, I've learned to like me. I have, just through this process of figuring out what the fuck that even means. Yeah. So it took a long time to just be like, man, I like me. Or even, like, especially those things that I fucking hated, that addictive, obsessive, I hated that shit. And it's like, no, I like that about myself. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with because I've done all these things, right? Yeah. And it's like, I think that there's a point where we have to just be like, why do I like me? Yeah. And then why don't I like me? Well, so I don't like me because I don't get up when I say I'm going to get up. Right. And I don't like me because I don't ever meet the goals that I meet. I don't like me because of this and because of this and because of this. And you could be like, well, yeah, I could see that. It's like, well, wait a second. Like, why do you like your best friend? Right? Well, it's because they're so caring. And I like how things just roll off their back. Right? I like how, they're just confident. I like how they see the world, right? Not one thing has anything to do with what they've done for you. Right. So it's like, well, why do you apply it to yourself then? Yeah. Like, why is that your gauge of liking yourself? Yeah. Right? And not liking yourself. It's like, why can't you, like, I like the way that I look at the world. Yeah. I like the way that I am just so passionate about certain things. I like the way that I can just let things go. Yeah. Right? It's like, they're non-actionable things. They're characteristics. I think when we can like learn to like ourselves, not like our production value, but like our character.
Yeah.
I think then that frees up a lot. And then it actually makes it easier to be able to reach these goals because we set these goals with somebody that we really like,
Yeah.
right? We really care about this person that's inside of us. And these goals are to help that person, right? So
Yeah.
then when you fail at those goals, you're a little bit easier on that person.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, no. It's not over. You're still breathing. You're still going.
Yeah.
Like, it's not over.
Right.
Let's just let's keep going.
Yeah.
Right? Let's keep going. Because that's
good.
what you would say to your best friend.
Right.
When they, I failed. It's like, it's okay. You're not dead. Like, you're not dead yet. Like, you still got time. Like, let's just keep going. Right?
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful thing, and a positive thing. It's just like, dude, one of the most powerful things you can do, I think, is learn how to be your own friend.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard Matthew McConaughey, I think, said it. I would buy myself a drink.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
I'd buy
yeah,
myself
yeah.
a beer.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
I want to get to know me. Right?
Absolutely.
And it's like, whoa.
And I like to say this sometimes if I hear a good friend of mine beating themselves up, especially over goals.
Yeah.
Right? They failed or they messed up or there's something they're not as close to as they thought they would be. I'll hear them talk, I'm just blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
some negative statement. I say don't talk about my friend that way.
Yeah. It's good.
Like, watch your mouth when you're talking
like
about
that.
my friend.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's
I like
like
that a lot.
because, dude, we beat ourselves up.
Oh, constantly.
All the
night.
time.
Every night.
Yeah.
Every
You know,
night.
and it's like, dude, like, to even like, I was doing it today a little bit. Talking, I had a friend tell me, oh, you're doing great. You've been fitness wise, like you're starting to look in great shape, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like beating myself up about it. I'm like, nah, I'm plateauing. I'm stuck in this place. And then the friend's like, dude, like, what? Like, I think you got some body dysmorphia going on. Like, dude, like you've come incredibly far, and you should be proud of yourself. You know.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to have that friend that can remind us of why we should be proud of ourselves.
Hell yeah, man. So, that's good shit. All right. Well, this was fucking great.
It was dope.
And it's so great to talk to you again and just to get at it. And
Yeah.
I think this is good. I think we got a lot of good shit.
Yep.
What's up, Mike? All right. Thank you, everybody. We will talk soon. Bye. Thanks, Justin.
Yo.
Perfect timing, man.
Perfect.